Hi, I'm LV Ditchkus, and I'm honored that my sci-fi series called the Sasquatch Series is a winner of the Colorado Author League Book Awards. You might wonder how I decided to write books about Sasquatch. Why not vampires or the magic world? Well, for one thing, I wanted to write a novel about an underappreciated topic. Most novels about Sasquatch portray them as maniacal beasts or as comic relief like Harry and the Hendersons. I don't believe those characterizations are accurate. Ancient cultures talked about hairy beings who lived hidden from humans, and there's tales about them on most continents. They have various names, and you've probably heard of Bigfoot and Yetis. But to evade human contact, they must have been incredibly cunning and in limited number. The idea for this series came from a good neighbor and friend, Jim Finn. Sadly, he passed away a few years ago, but he was a consummate believer in Sasquatch and talked freely about his experiences on tracking expeditions. While he never saw one, he was convinced he heard Sasquatch sounds in the woods, and I believe him. Going back to the series, there's currently 3 books in print and ebooks, but the 4th one is in draft and will be released this fall. It's called Passage of the Sasquatch. In the first book, Dylan Cox, a fairly inexperienced big city detective from Chicago, comes to a small town in the Rocky Mountains to find a missing 6-year-old boy. To find out what happened to the boy, Dylan has to team up with a wilderness-savvy woman, a man on the autism spectrum, and hardcore Sasquatch believers. Dylan starts out as a non-believer in that book, but by the end, he starts to question his beliefs, both about Sasquatch and what he thought he knew about his own history. The series continues with Mission of the Sasquatch, where Dylan is on a journey of self-discovery, mostly to find out about his birth parents who abandoned him as an infant. All sorts of people put up roadblocks that slow down his search, but in the end, he'll have to trust an extraordinary companion to find out the truth. In Legacy of the Sasquatch, Dylan ends up in a place he never expected to see, and he'll need to rely on his wits and an improbable friend to make his way home. To whet your appetite for the series, I'll read the first chapter from the first book, Crimes of the Sasquatch, which starts the story out by describing the stakes. Near Salida, Colorado, May 18th, Trip Stewart. The man in the driver's seat promised to reunite the first grader with his mother. She'd been dead for 3 months. Had Trip made the right decision to get in the car? His elbow smacked the car door, and a jolt of electricity spiked down his arm. Wriggling his fingers to combat the sensation, he tensed, waiting for the next pothole in the rutted gravel road. Riding without a booster seat limited Trip's view out of the dust-covered front window. At the side, all he saw was trees and more trees. The driver had met him at the edge of the woods, opening the door and inviting Trip to sit in the front seat. The boy knew how to connect the seatbelt by himself, but the guy insisted on doing it. As he reached between the seats to retrieve the buckle and secure the clasp, the driver said, "We'd better keep you safe." His touch felt like jabbing toothpicks. "Your mom's at the end of the dirt road. Just a short ride and you'll see." "Let's go see my dad first," Tripp suggested, not to contradict what the guy had proposed, but to understand why his father had lied about his mom's death. "No time. She'll worry if we make her wait." Well, seeing her topped confronting his dad. Every part of him ached to be with her again. The guy's story made no sense, but Tripp wanted to believe. He trembled, thinking about the lies and inconsistencies. His school counselor had taught him tricks to help calm down when the world spun out of control. Pressing the fleshy part of his sweaty palms against his coarse denim shorts, he separated and stretched his fingers, inhaling slow, deep breaths. His music served as an anxiety reducer, but he'd left the player behind. "Can we go back for my backpack?" he asked the driver. "Your mother will have everything you need." "How will she know? She's been gone for months." In response to the man's blank stare, he added, "I have a keychain from Jen and a new game." The man's attention turned back to the road. Tripp wanted answers, but they were not coming. Not from him. Not until he could ask his mom. The car shuddered and stopped. The boy pushed up on his arms, high enough to peek out the window. Trees swayed in the wind. Sighing and ordering Trip to stay inside, the driver left, slamming the door behind. He stared at the empty driver's seat. Being alone seemed worse than having the guy in the car. Maybe he wasn't coming back. Opening the brushed steel buckle to free himself from the seatbelt, Trip knelt on the seat and gripped the dash to gain a better view. The rocky track sneaked through the pines and aspens, disappearing past a tangle of scrub oak. Through the narrow space above the trees, charcoal gray clouds boiled across the sky. No sign of the man out front. Trip pivoted on his knees. Grasping the seatbelt, but the seatback, he inched upward until the rear window appeared in full view. Not out back either. Trip tugged the handle and opened the door. Fresh air swept into the car, filling the confined space with the fragrance of pine needles and road dust. 4 partially frozen raindrops plopped against the windshield in quick succession, falling moisture polka-dotted the dusty road. Pulling up the zipper of his fleece jacket, he slipped the hood over his head. The boy braced a palm on the armrest and slid one sneaker-clad foot and then the other to the rock-strewn ground. Leaning toward the back of the car, without leaving the safety of the open door, he listened. Silence, then distant thunder. Trip stiffened and shook his head. What should he do? The boy hated the forest. There were things out there. The Sasquatch series is available on Amazon. If you'd like to find out more about when I'll be around for speaking events, or if you'd like me to join your book club discussion, check out my website at lvditchkus.com. And again, many thanks to the Colorado Authors League for their recognition. Oh, I'll bet you're wondering about this guy. Well, he's my vision of what Sasquatch looks like. I don't believe that he looks like some ape-like hairy guy. I think he looks like this. Have a great day.